Hey, and welcome back to Hyperactive English with Teacher Danielle. In today's mini writing lesson, we'll be on how to show and not tell. This lesson will help improve your writing by making your writing more interesting. And I have also personally found as a teacher that it could help me determine if one of my students was using an AI programming to help them write their papers or not. Let's get into it. So to make writing more interesting, we should show what the character is doing, not just simply tell what the character is doing. How do we do that? To show and not to tell is a matter of word choice or the use of figurative language. Please feel free to check out my video on figurative language. Word choice. So how often are you using the verb to be? Try using a more active verb, like jumping, leaping, crying, stammering, stuttering. Verbs that show an action. You could also use adjectives and adverbs, which help us create the picture that we're trying to create, so that our minds can envision what it is that the author is trying to show us. Let's look at a few examples to understand better. Frank was very angry when he came home from school. So I told you that Frank was angry when he came home from school. Now let me show you that Frank is angry. Angrily, Frank threw his backpack down on the table. His face was flushed red. Eyes were all puffy and swollen from the tears streaming down his face. Frank had had a very bad day at school. Biting his lower lip was the only way he could stop his tears from falling as he shouted at his mother. Here we have excellent examples of word choice. We start with angrily. So we're using an adverb to already determine how he threw his backpack down on the table. We use adjectives such as flushed, puffy, swollen to describe physically what his face would look like. When we're flushed red, when our eyes are puffy and swollen, it's from crying, and crying is a part of Frank's anger. He bit his bottom lip to stop his tears from falling as he shouted at his mother. So excellent uses of adverbs, adjectives, and different verbs to show you how Frank was feeling, not just tell you. Let's do another example. Ruth was enjoying her walk when she felt she was being watched. Ruth frolicked through the woods, laughing hysterically until she felt it. Eyes were burrowing into her skin, digging, ripping, tearing all the way down to her soul. Did you feel that? We use the verb frolic. Frolic literally is an action verb that means to play joyfully. Laughing, and we added the adverb hysterically. So not just laughing, ha 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 ha, but laughing hysterically, ah ha 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 ha. Just having the greatest time ever in my life. Living her best life, okay? And the eyes were burrowing. Burrowing is to dig deep, but not just digging deep like, no, it's a grinding, it's a meshing, it's a digging into somewhere you are not supposed to be. It's like a dog burrows and rabbits burrow in your garden. So there we used verbs and adjectives. And our last example. Abby was feeling sick and wanted to rest with her mother. Abby's eyes fluttered. She could hardly keep them open. Her eyelids felt like sandbags pulling them shut. Her head bobbed back and forth as she shook her tiny body to stay awake. In this example, we use figurative language. We use the simile. And a simile is when we compare two things using the terminology like or as. Her eyelids felt like sandbags. It means her eyelids were so heavy. If you've ever tried to pick up a sandbag, you know they are heavy. So her eyelids were heavy and pulling her down. And again, we use action verbs. Her eyes fluttered. Fluttering is an action. We know what to flutter. We flutter. Her eyes were fluttering. Ooh. And her head bobbed back and forth, and she shook her tiny little body to stay awake. Can you see how showing and not telling is a great way to improve your writing? And as always, if you're feeling my vibe, like and subscribe, or hop on over to Hyperactive English for a full lesson.